नहीं उसके ऊपर टेबल के ऊपर दिया.
मिठाई ना, ठीक है.
In those days, the cattlemen were anointment, called known by O. Henry. Huh? Oh, in those days, the cattlemen were the anointed.
Yeah?
Cattlemen जो थे anointed थे. They were the grandees of grass, kings of the kine, lords of the leaf, barons of the leaf and bone. They might have ridden in golden chariots had their taste so inclined. The cattleman was caught in a stampede of dollars. मतलब cattleman के पास खूब पैसा होता था.
Gentlemen.
हाँ. It seemed to him that he had more money than was decent. But when he had bought a watch with precious stones set in the case so large that they hurt his wrists, and a California saddle with silver nails and angora skin suadoras, and ordered everybody up to the bar for whiskey, what else was there for him to spend the money for? Not so circumscribed and expedient for the reduction of surplus wealth were those lairds of the lariat who had women folk to their name. In the breast of the rib-sprung sex, the genius of purse lightning may slumber through years of inopportunity. But never, my brother, does it become so extent. So out of the chaparral came Long Bill Longley, from the bar circle branch on the Frio, a wife-driven man to taste the urban joys of success. Something like $500,000 he had with an income steadily increasing. Longbill was a graduate of the camp and trail. Luck and thrift, a cool head, and a telescopic eye for mavericks had raised him from cowboy to a cowman. मतलब वो cattleman था बड़ा सा. $1,000,000 थे cowman था. Then came the boom in cattle, and fortune, stepping gingerly among the cactus thorns, came and emptied her cornucopia at the footstep of the ranch. In the little frontier city of Chaparosa, Longley built a costly residence. मतलब कॉलोन उसने बहुत बड़ा सा residence भी बनवाया. Here he became a captive bound to the chariot of social existence. He was doomed to become a leading citizen. He struggled for a time like a mustang in his first quarrel, and then he hung up his quirt and spurs. Time hung heavily on his hands. He organized the first national bank of Chaparosa and was elected its president. One day, a dyspeptic man wearing double magnifying glasses inserted an official looking card between the bars of the cashier's window. Of the First National Bank. 5 minutes later, the bank force was dancing at the beck and call of the National Bank examiner. This examiner, Mr. J. Edgar Todd, proved to be a thorough one. At the end of it all, the examiner put on his hat and called the president, Mr. William R. Longley, into the private office. तो क्या हुआ? एक national bank examiner आया एक बैंक में. Well, how do you find things? Asked Longley in his slow, long, deep tones. Any brands in the roundup you didn't like the looks of? The bank checks up all right, Mr. Longley said Todd, and I find your loans in very good shape. With one exception. एक exception के साथ. You're carrying one very bad bit of paper, one that is so bad that I've been thinking that so surely you do not realize the serious position it places you in. बस तुम्हारा बैंक में तुम्हारा सब कुछ ठीक है, एक जो लोन है वो मेरा प्रॉब्लमैटिक है. I refer to a call loan of $10,000 made to Thomas Verwin. Not only is the amount in excess of the maximum sum the bank can loan any individual legally, but it is absolutely without endorsement or security. भाई ये मिस्टर थॉमस लोन को जो आपने कॉल लोन दिया है $10,000 का, एक तो लिमिट से ऊपर है और कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है. Thus you have doubly violated the national banking laws and have laid yourself open to criminal prosecution by the government. A report of the matter to the comptroller of the currency, and I am bound to make what I am sure make the matter being turned over to the Department of Justice for action. अब ये मैटर जो है मैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस तक पहुंचा दूंगा क्योंकि एक्शन होगा, क्योंकि आपने पैसे को दिया गया. You see what a serious thing it is? Bill Longley was leaning his lengthy, slow-moving frame back in his swivel chair. His hands were clasped in his head, behind his head, and he turned a little to look at the examiner in the face. तो क्या हुआ मामा? ये बिल लॉन्गली ने ये बैंक बनाया था. अब ये बिल लॉन्गली जो था वो खड़ा बैठा हुआ था और उसका जो हाथ थे वो उसके हेड के पीछे थे. एंड ही टर्न हाथ उसके हेड के पीछे थे. And he turned a little to look at the examiner in the face. The examiner was surprised to see a smile creep behind the rugged mouth of the banker and a kindly twinkle in the little blue eyes. If he saw seriousness of the affair, he did not show in his countenance. Of course you don't know Tom Mervyn, said Longley, almost genially. Yes, I know about that loan. It hasn't any security except Tom Mervyn's word. टॉम मर्वन के वर्ड के अलावा इसमें कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है और मैं जानता हूँ टॉम मर्वन. Somehow I always found that when a man's word is good, it's the best security it is. जब आदमी की एक बार जबान दे दी किसी ने तो कई बार जो है वो बेस्ट सिक्योरिटी होती है. तो मैंने भी उधर से लिया था. Oh yes, I know the government doesn't think so. I guess I'll see Tom about that now. Mr. Todd's dyspepsia seemed to grow suddenly worse. He looked at the sharper banker through his double magnifying glasses in amazement. You see, said Langley, explaining thing away, Tom heard of 2,000 head of 2-year-olds down the Rocky Fort on Rio Grande that he could have at $8 a head. I reckon it was one of old Leandro Garcia's outfits that he had struggled over, and he wanted to make a quick turn on them. Those cattle are worth $15 on the hoof in the Kansas City. तो ये जो था इसने किसी फेलो कैटलचर को दिया था $10,000 का कॉल लोन. तो वो $8 में कोई कैटल मिल रही थी, $15,000 में, $15 में बेचेगा. Tom knew it and I knew it. That $6,000 I let him have the $10,000 to make the deal with. But Tom के पास 6,000 थे और मैंने उसको $10,000 दे दिया तो ताकि उसकी डील पूरी कंप्लीट हो जाए. His brother Ed took them on to the market 3 weeks ago. He ought to be back almost any day now with the money. इसका दोस्त जो है एड जो भाई जो है वो पैसा लेके वापस आ जाएगा. वो बेसिकली कैटल प्रॉफिट में बेच करके फिर वो वापस कर देंगे. When he comes, Tom will pay that note. The bank examiner was shocked. बैंक examiner की दम निकल गई. क्या बात है ये? It was perhaps his duty to step out to the telegraph office and wire the situation to the controller. But he did not. He talked pointedly and effectively to Longley for 3 minutes. He succeeded in making the banker understand that he stood upon the border of a catastrophe. तो उसने जो लाइन उसने कहा कि भैया तुम बहुत दिक्कत में हो. And then he offered a tiny loophole of escape. उसने कहा एक रास्ता था. I'm going to Hilldale's tonight, he told Longley, to examine a bank there. मैं Hilldale आज रात को देखने जा रहा हूँ, बैंक देखने का. I will pass through Chaparosa on my way back. जब मैं वापस जाऊंगा तो Chaparosa के थ्रू जाऊंगा. At 12 o'clock tomorrow I shall call at this bank. मैं 12 बजे कल इस बैंक में आऊंगा. This loan has been cleared out of the way by that time. It will not be mentioned in my report. If not, I will have to do my duty. कल 12 बजे तक अगर ये लोन क्लियर हुआ तो मैं इसको मेंशन नहीं करूंगा, नहीं तो भैया मैं मेंशन कर दूंगा. With that, the examiner bowed and departed. The examiner जो था वहां से निकल गया. The president of the First National lounged in his chair half an hour longer and then he lit a mild cigar and went over to Tom Mervin's house. Then उन्होंने mild cigar लिया, Tom Mervin के घर गए. Mervin, a ranchman in brown duck with a contemporary eye, sat with his feet upon the table, plating a rawhide quack. Tom, said Longley, leaning against the table. You heard anything from Ed yet? Not yet, said Mervin, continuing his plating. I guess Ed will be back now in a few days. कुछ दिनों में जाए वो आ जाएगा, ठीक है ना. और ये पहुंचा कि भैया देखो पैसे का चक्कर आ गया. There was a bank examiner, said Longley, nosing around our place today, and he bucked a sight about that note of yours. I know it's all right, but the thing is, it's against the banking laws. वो नोट उसने देखा $10,000 वाला. अब मुझे पता है कि तुम पैसे दे ही दोगे, पर दिक्कत यह है कि लॉ के तो खिलाफ है. I was
खिलाफ था.
pretty sure you would have paid it off before the bank examined again, but the son of a gun slipped it on us. मतलब बैंक एग्जामिनर कुछ दिनों बाद में सोच रहा था आएगा, पर साला पहले ही आ गया. Now I'm short of cash
अच्छा,
myself.
उन्होंने बैंक से कुछ पैसा निकाल के उधर इधर उधर किया.
Now I'm short of cash myself just now, or I'd let you have the money to take up with. Take up with. I've got till 12 o'clock tomorrow, and then I've got to show the cash in place of that note, or what, Bill? Asked Mervyn, as Longley hesitated. Well, I suppose it means he jumped on with both of Uncle Sam's feet. नहीं तो वो बता देगा. I'll try and raise the money for you on time, said Mervyn, interested in his pleading. All right, Tom, concluded Langley as he turned towards the door. I knew you would if you could. Mervyn threw down his whip and went to the only other bank in the town, a private one, run by Cooper and Kay. अब ये मर्विन गया और दूसरे बैंक में गया क्योंकि टाउन में था कूपर एंड क्रेग के पास. Cooper, he said to the partner by that name, I've got to have $10,000 today or tomorrow. I've got a house and a lot there that's worth about $6,000, and that's the actual collateral. But I have a cattle deal on that sure to bring me in much more profit in a few days. Cooper began to cough. तो उसने कहा कि मेरे को $10,000 चाहिए. $6,000 का मेरा सामान है, मैं कोलेट्रल में डालता हूँ और बाकी सब जो है मेरे पास प्रॉफिट में वो जो डील आ जाएगी. Now for God's sake, don't say no, said Vermin. I owe that much money on a call loan. It's been called. And the man that called it is a man I've laid on the same blanket on with cow camps and razor camps for 10 years. He can call anything I've got. He can call the blood out of my veins, it'll come. He's got to have that money. He's in devil off. Well, he needs the money and I've got to get it for him. You know my word's good, Cooper. No doubt of it, accented Cooper urbanely. But I have a partner, and I'm not free and making loans. And even if you had the best security in your hands, Mervyn, we couldn't accommodate you in less than a week. एक हफ्ते से हम लोग इतना पैसा नहीं दे पाएंगे. We are just making a shipment of $15,000 to Maya Brothers in Rockdale to buy cotton with. Maya Brothers को हम $15,000 दे रहे हैं cotton से. It goes down on the narrow gauge tonight. That leaves their cash quite short at the present. Sorry, we can't arrange it for you. हम आपके लिए पैसा arrange नहीं कर पाएंगे. Mervyn went back to his little bare office and plaited at his quirt again. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he went to the First National Bank and leaned over the railing of Longley's desk. I'll try and get you for the money tonight, tomorrow, Bill. All right, Tom, said Longley quietly. At 9 o'clock that night, Tom Mervyn stepped out cautiously of the small frame house in which he lived. Tom Mervyn जो था वो अपने छोटे से घर के बाहर निकला. It was near the edge of the little town and few citizens were in the neighborhood at that hour. Mervyn wore 2 6-shooters in the belt and a slouch hat. He moved swiftly down the lonely street and then followed the sandy road that ran parallel to the narrow gauge track until he reached the water tank 2 miles below the town. There, Tom Mervyn stopped and tied a black silk handkerchief about the lower part of his face and pulled his hat down low. In 10 minutes, the night train for Rockdale pulled up at the tank, having come from Chaparrosa. तो रात की गाड़ी आई और वो इधर आई Chaparrosa. With a gun in each hand, Mervyn raised himself from behind a clump of chaparral and started for the engine. Mervyn pointed the engine. But before he had taken 3 steps, 2 long, strong arms clasped him from behind, and he was lifted from his feet and thrown face downwards upon the grass. और वो गया और उसने कहा मैं इंजन वाले को पकड़ता हूँ, वहाँ से पैसे निकालूंगा, पर वो सीधा पकड़ा गया और उसको ग्रास में डाल दिया गया. There was heavy knee pressing in the back and an iron hand grasped each one of his wrists. He was held thus like a child until the engine had taken water and until the train had moved. और इसको एकदम बांध के रख दिया गया और ट्रेन चली गई. With accelerating speed out of the sight. Then he was released and rose to his feet to meet face
इसने
Bill
ट्रेन में
Longley.
डकैती डालने की कोशिश की.
और देखा उसने कि जिसने उसको बांधा है वो है बिल लॉन्गले. The case never needed to be fixed up this way, Tom. इस तरीके से फिक्स नहीं होना था, Tom, said Longley. I saw Cooper this evening and he told me you and him talked about. Then I went down to your house tonight and saw you come out with the guns on and I followed you. Let's go back, Tom. इस तरीके से करने की कोई ज़रूरत थी. टॉम वापस चलो. मैंने बैंक वाले से बात किया था. They walked away together side by side. It was the only chance I saw, said Mervyn presently. You called alone and I tried to answer you. Now what will you do, Bill, if they sock it to you? करोगे क्या बिल अगर वो तुम्हारे साथ ऐसे करेंगे? आप दुख में पड़ जाए. What would you have done if they had socked it to you? Was the answer Longley made. I never thought I'd lay in a bush to stick up a train, remarked Mervyn. But a call loan's different. A call's a call with me. We've got 12 hours yet, Bill, before this spy jumps on you. 12 घंटे हैं. लोन तो लोन है. We've got to raise them spondylics somehow. Maybe we can. Great Sam Houston, do you hear that? Mervyn broke into a run and Longley kept up with him, hearing only a rather pleasing whistle somewhere in the night, rendering in the lugubrious air of the cowboy's lament. पीछे से cowboy के lament आती रही थी. It's the only time you know, shouted Mervyn as he ran. I'll bet. They were at the door of Mervyn's house. He kicked it open and fell over an old valise lying in the middle of the floor. A sunburned, firm-jawed youth, stained by travel, lay upon the bed, puffing at a brown cigarette. एक लड़का जो था cigarette पीटा हुआ लेटा था. What's the word, Ed? gasped Vermin. So, drawled that capable youngster. Just got in at 9:30. Sold the bunch for 15 straight. 15,000 में बेचा. Now you want to quit kicking a valise around that? Uh, That's got $29,000 in greenbacks and it's in the yard. $29,000 पड़े हुए हैं, जाके ले लो. वो $10,000 जो उसके वापस हो गए. ये कहानी इस तरीके से खत्म हो गई.
नहीं, टोटल